Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Scott Brown wants Craig Gordon to stay with Celtic. Martin Waghorn wants regular first team action before talking about a new contract. And Malky Mackay is looking for a radical solution to Scottish football's problems. Just a few of the talking points, and of course we'll be looking ahead to all the matches in Scotland across all four divisions. We'll also cast our eye over the Premier League in England and some other sports as well later on in the programme, all in the company of Alan Ruff. And as ever on a Friday, our Bootroom guest is Hugh MacDonald of the Daily Mail. And the great news for us, we have another additional Bootroom guest as well, no less. Hugh, earlier on today, we caught up with former St Mirren and Motherwell player Steven McGarry, who's now carving out a career for himself in Australia. We'll hear from Steven as a special Bootroom feature later on in the programme as well. So lots to cram into the programme. Let's kick off first of all with Craig Gordon. Big decision to make, Ruffy. Scott Brown would like him to stay.
Yeah, I think Craig Gordon's the only guy that can make that decision. You know, I think he'll be enjoying everything that's going on just now at Celtic. He'll be enjoying European football. Mark said the other day there he would fancy another chance at English football, but I don't know if he would be the number one, you know, so he's got to weigh all these things up. But I think the way footballers talk now, it's all about money, and I think it depends on what the money is, you know, and then weighing it up, you know, whether you want to be playing week in, week out, or being in a fantastic league.
Well, for a man like yourself who's obsessed by money, put yourself in Craig Gordon's shoes. What would you do right now if you had the chance? Chelsea, an increased wage, playing as a number two, or stay at Celtic?
I would stay at Celtic. I think everything's going well for him. I think what he's been through injury-wise and everything, you know, obviously dropping out the team, dropping out the national side, he's got everything back going his way. I think he would lose some of that if he was second fiddle down in England. I think he would lose his Scotland position. I don't think Gordon would pick him if he wasn't playing regular football, but which would be a good thing for me, you know, because he wouldn't be able to beat my record of caps. So, from a personal point of view, I'd go, just go as soon as you can.
In the name of God, go.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it amazing how he somehow managed to selfishly put it to himself? It's incredible, Hugh. But listen, I don't know about you, but I mean, obviously players have to look to secure the financial future. Craig Gordon doesn't strike me as the type of lad who will struggle over the next 40 years.
No, he's been part of big transfers over the years, so he'll have made some money, and you know, what is he on at Celtic? $500,000 a year at Celtic, so it's not, you know. I just think it's a fascinating football story. I mean, how quickly things can change. I mean, 3 or 4 months ago, he was in the state of depression because he didn't look as if he was going to play any Champions League football. He bombed out at Celtic. He was just told, this guy's coming in and this guy's playing, Doris de Vries. So it's amazing how football has changed quite quickly. I think it'll all come down to, he's got to look at it and say, I'm 34, I've had a period out of the game because of injuries. You know, how much did that hurt me not playing football? And then weigh it up against the money, because the golf and money it'll be probably 3 times what he's getting at Celtic.
Yeah, I must admit, I'd be gobsmacked if he decided to leave, Ruffy.
So would I. I'd be gobsmacked. I think at his age, he's wanting to play week in, week out. He's tasted Champions League football. He'll want to go further. He'll want to try and get into the last 16. He'll see that Celtic are building up to gear to do that. He'll want to be part of that. And it's always good being at a club where people want you, you know, and I think he's established that with the Celtic supporters, that they really want him there and they appreciate everything that he's done.
Okay.
I wouldn't be shocked if he went.
No?
No, I wouldn't be shocked. I think if you got to look at them, you know, you've got to look at the money situation. You've got to look at, he'll not be thinking he's going down to sit on the bench. He'll be looking at saying, well, they're going to buy me because Courtois is probably going to go to Real Madrid. There's going to be a situation, and that's the way his mind was. I wouldn't be shocked if he went, no.
Okay, Celtic against Hearts on the Sunday. Celtic unveiled Eboué Kouassi. It's a bit like somebody signing McDonald Hugh. You know, eventually you get the name right. Rough Allen, which is not too much of a mistake there, because that's usually at the end of a weekend. But I mean, he won't be involved. I think he might take a bit of time before he gets into the side. And the flip side of that, Ian Cathro was trying to get Goncalves. That might take him till Tuesday. How do you see this one going?
Well, I think Goncalves will be a really good buy. I mean, I thought he was smashing at St Mirren, and he's obviously a player that the Cathro sees as integral to changing the dynamic of his team. The Eboué, it's been weird because he's came in and there's been health scares about him already. He had that wee trip to the hospital, you know, how he was and all that. So I think that there's no need to blood him early anyway. I mean, it's not as if Celtic are coming out, going to come out the transfer window, having to hit the traps running, you know, a team chasing them down for a title and that. I mean, everything could be done in Brendan's good time at the moment. Brendan Rodgers' good time.
Just briefly, yes or no on this? Celtic. Anybody going to stop Celtic from going undefeated throughout the season? Do you think that's still feasible?
I think it's really feasible. Very feasible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm increasingly believing it's very feasible.
Okay.
I think this is the game this weekend. This is one of the games where you're looking at something happening. You know, away to Tynecastle, away up to Pittodrie, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
Yep. Just for the benefit of everybody, it will be at Celtic Park, because if I head through the Tynecastle and there's nobody there, I'll be absolutely raging.
They won't win at Tynecastle.
No, definitely not. No. But anyway, any chance you could read the script that I'm giving you there, Roffy? So let's switch to Motherwell against Rangers. It's definitely at Fir Park, Roffy. This one, Motherwell have managed to get a couple of signings in. One of them from the non-league. The other one is, of course, the Everton goalkeeper Russell Griffith, because Dean Brill has decided to go. And the other name, which I'm looking at, I think from Forest Green, was the name I'd written down here, that Motherwell have obviously drafted in as well, a winger. Elliot Freer was the guy I was thinking about. So they've got him in. Motherwell Rangers in the Cup was a good game. This one could equally be as close.
Yeah, I mean, in Motherwell, it all depends how Motherwell react to last week. You know, if they come out and say, listen, you know, this is a chance for redemption, or if they come out, you know, down. But remember, we just talked about, you know, Celtic going through the season possibly unbeaten. This was the game so far this season that they looked to lose. You know, 2-0 down at half time at Fir Park. So, you know, Motherwell could pose difficulties for Rangers tomorrow.
Yeah, of course, Matt Warburton has been speaking about the fact that his difficulty at the moment is trying to, you know, keep everybody happy with the players that he's got, trying to get a starting game.
I only pick 11 players. I'd love to play a 5-5-5 formation, but unfortunately the rules prevent me doing so. The fact is there's only 11 shirts, so if a player's not playing, it means another player's been picked for whatever reason. You'd like to think the players are doing well and their starting place. So from that point of view, I was all joking apart. We can only pick 11 players. And Clint's done very, very well of late. Rob Keenan stepped in. Danny Wilson's got a small injury, but he's getting back to fitness. And it's about competition in the squad and, as I say, using the squad appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, he's closely scrutinised with every player that he picks at the moment. Obviously, he's talking there about the fact that, you know, guys like Philip Senderos hasn't even kicked a ball for Rangers in earnest. I mean, he had a dreadful game in the 5-1 game against Celtic, but hasn't featured.
Yeah, and presumably is picking up a hefty wage as well. Hallen bought for $500,000, hardly featured. Waghorn, who at the beginning of the season was the guy people were lumping on to be top scorer, hardly featured. It really has been. And Hallen in particular, for me, I think one of the great problems with Rangers is pace. You know, I don't think they play the game quickly enough. And I think Hallen at times could really be an outlet for them and going forward.
Well, you mentioned Hallen. I think Waghorn is the player that I'm amazed, because Kenny Miller scores goals, we all know that, and he deserves tremendous praise. But Waghorn was a great goal scorer last season. Whether he's able to step up to plate and do it regularly this season, nobody really can. I think the jury's out on it. But this is Martin Waghorn talking about it yesterday and his lack of first team games.
I think every player, when they don't play, gets frustrated. It's about how you channel it and put it to good use, whether it's in the training field or coming off of the bench. And any professional does, get frustrated like myself, and it's one of the things that I need to learn and deal with and try and harness, and when I do get my chance, take it.
Good player, Ruffy. Like him coming in off on his left foot.
Yeah, as you said there, you know, he was the main goal scorer. You know, the record speaks for itself, the season that he had, and he'll now be saying to himself, look, I'm not getting a regular game. Fairness, Kenny Miller is playing particularly well. You wouldn't expect him to take his position, but Joe Gardner's come in there. He'll be saying to himself, look, with the amount of goals I've scored, I should be starting.
Okay, that's Motherwell against Rangers. We'll get these lads to give us their prediction on Aberdeen against Dundee. Coming up, we'll hear from Alan Archibald. We'll also hear from St Johnstone manager Tommy Wright. And don't forget, later on in the programme, our bootroom guest, all the way from Perth, Australia. We'll be speaking to former Motherwell and St Mirren player Steven McGarry. Join us after the break on Sports Week. Welcome back to Sports Week. If you can't get to a game this weekend, don't forget you can get through to Edinburgh. Ruffy's signing autographs at Tynecastle because he was the only one there. I had to do it, you. Honestly, if he's going to get it wrong, you're getting hammered. It's as simple as that.
I'm going to go through.
Absolutely. Just to see if they're still playing there. So we've looked at Celtic against Hearts, Motherwell against Rangers. Just quickly on Aberdeen, Dundee. Derek McKinnon is quick to point out he's quite happy to take loans from anywhere. You know, if it helps Aberdeen get to where they want to be at the end of the season.
Yeah, and from his point of view, he's quite right. I mean, his role will now be to finish second, and then against me. I just find it is so incredible that in Scottish football, a team that's going for the title loans a player to a team that wants to finish second. I mean, it just shows you the gulf that's opening up. But I think it's a great move for Aberdeen. I think it's a great move for Christie. I really rate Christie. I really rate him.
Yeah, I've got on record in saying, you know, I think he's going to be a big player for Scotland. I think we keep talking about where are the kids coming from, who's going to make that step up. I think if he was to get more first team games, I think like the boy Armstrong, I think he could push his way in to being a future Scotland player.
Okay, they're playing against Dundee tonight. Dundee 2 wins and 7. It's inconsistency. 1 week you think that they finally managed to get a bit of form back, and then they lose the next week. Paul Hartley, after that cup defeat last week, players just have to get on with it, pick themselves up.
Yeah, we've got to pick ourselves up. That's the case of football. We've had a disappointing weekend. We've tried to find answers on what went wrong, but that's the same team that went and beat St Johnstone convincingly. So the players let themselves down. They didn't perform. They performed badly. Didn't see it coming. But we've had to pick them up on Monday. That's just part and parcel of the game. We're disappointed we didn't get through. So there are no excuses. The game is since the players have come on Monday is focusing on the Aberdeen game, because we're going to face a really good team who are high in confidence. So we've got to make sure that we're right for that.
Who's winning that match, Ruffy?
I think if Aberdeen win it by a number of goals, I think Paul could come under some pressure again. I think the fans weren't happy last week, and I think a heavy defeat would turn them even more. And if we've said it on the show, I don't think it's been his fault. I think it's been decision making by the people in charge, and they're the ones that have put Dundee in this situation, and Paul's been doing his best. But I think if they were to go on a bad run, I think he might perilously might lose his job.
Yeah, what's a heavy defeat? Is it 3-0?
Heavy defeat for me is 4.
4-0.
4-0, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You know why I mentioned the magical number of 3, Hugh, because that's the number that Ruffy mentioned, that if Gordon Strachan's team were to lose by 3-0, it was the game over. He should have been sacked.
It just makes it up as he goes along. Let's be honest about this. And there's no intellectual rigour in it whatsoever. It's just.
Anyway, hold on. That's a tweet. Daily Mailman Savage's World Cup hero.
I mean, come on. It was just he's got his going to Tynecastle on Sunday. He's got his counting fingers. How many goals is good? How many goals is bad?
Fortunately, if he was to lose his job, he's still got the fishing trawlers as he was dressed. He's obviously just come off the boat for that interview.
And we'll look forward to hearing from you later, Paul.
Absolutely. It's a bit rich coming from your man there, isn't it? Stuck in the 70s, but nevertheless. Yeah, I don't see them under pressure. He's 7th in the table. I mean, ideally, with 22 points, they could easily suddenly just leapfrog Ross County at one point and go into 6th.
I think the table now is beginning to form, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, at one point we had this situation, there was only 3 or 4 points between about 6 or 7 teams. I think it's beginning to form now, and what you're going to get now is 3 teams, I think, detached, and then other teams trying to push into the top 6.
Are you talking Kilmarnock, Hamilton and Inverness?
That's the 3, yeah.
Yeah,
That would
okay.
be the 3 I would think would become detached. And I think Dundee, will get beat tonight, but I don't think it'll be a close game.
Okay, Inverness, Cali Thistle against your old team, Partick Thistle. Ruffy, of course, Alan Archibald. In that clutch of 6, 7 teams that might have aspirations for the top half, but still looking behind them to see how far away the relegation and playoff places are. Of course, I think Alan Archibald keen to emphasise a win over Inverness at the Tulloch Stadium. Suddenly there's a bit of breathing space.
We know how quickly things turn. That was us just before the break, a week and a half before it, so we know what we expect from Inverness. They'll come out all guns blazing. I think they'll be desperate to win the game so they aren't getting detached, whereas our incentive to try and open up that gap. Can we get it to 9 points? And that's key for us this weekend. But we know we'll be very wary of our opponents. They've added to their squad as well. I think we face a very different team to what we faced in the first day of the season.
And he's added Niall Keown, the son of Martin Keown. If he's half the defender his dad was, they've got a winner.
Yeah, his dad was certainly a leader and a great side, a tremendous player. Yeah, and I think Partick are now, losing players, adding them. I like the big boy Barton at the back. I think he's been good. The young boy Lindsay's done well. Doolan's been given Lawless back there, which always helps him as well. So yeah, I think taking anything at all up Inverness would be a bonus. Partick Thistle are there because they went on that wee 2-3 game run, and I think any team down the bottom who's capable of doing that will draw away from the people who don't.
Yep, Hugh?
I think there's a couple of really vital matches tomorrow, and that's one of them. Thistle's one of them. Another one's Kilmarnock versus Ross County, because I think if 2 away wins there for Thistle and Ross County really defines the league, then you can really say it's Kilmarnock, Ross County and Hamilton in a sort of fight for any 2 from 3.
Yep, here are the fixtures to look forward to in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen Dundee tonight, and not too far away from kick-off now. Motherwell against Rangers is the 12:30 kick-off tomorrow. And as you can see there, Inverness, Partick Thistle, Kilmarnock, Ross County, St Johnstone, Hamilton, and that big match at Celtic Park in Glasgow. Celtic against Hearts is 1 o'clock on Sunday. As far as St Johnstone against Hamilton Accies, Accies obviously are trying to get players in, trying to get themselves in that situation where they can suddenly turn draws into victories as well. And I think even Martin Canning will be keen to try and do that, because there's rumblings in the background, Hugh, with the fans just getting a little bit tetchy about only 2 wins at home.
Yeah, and the cup win last week was great for them, because that'll give them some impetus, some momentum, some confidence. But they're going to a hard place tomorrow as well, St Johnstone. I mean, I know St Johnstone aren't playing brilliantly at home, but they are a good, solid side, St Johnstone, and that's a huge match for them tomorrow. There are rumblings, but I can't. It's with fans. It's all right for us on the outside looking in. Sometimes fans get so caught up in it. For me, outside looking in, what's happened to Hamilton Academical is really what should be happening to them, because everything's down to money nowadays, and their budget's amongst the lowest in the league, so they should be down at the bottom of the league. It's simple as that to me.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one for them. I think we had Dougie Emery in, who was staying. They're a hard team to beat, but they don't score that second goal. They know they can get one in the bag, but the pressure that's on you by not getting that second one is you're caught in the middle. Do you try and hang on for 90 minutes, or do you try and get that second one? and that's been the downfall, as Peter said there, that the draws that they've had have been one each.
Yep, well, they've signed Blair Adams, obviously, to try and fill the gap at left back with Leonard Solwa's move to Heart of Midlothian. So, as far as St Johnstone are concerned, well, I think their ambitions are almost certainly top six. Their performance in midweek brought praise from Brendan Rodgers, the Celtic manager, saying they were one of the best teams that Celtic have faced in the Premier League this season. They're at home, and Tommy Wright obviously gave us his thoughts on the big game.
Another difficult game. They're a side with loads of energy, getting about you, and they've got quality in terms of Crawford and Emery and people that can hurt you. So again, it's recover, and we will. We're in today and tomorrow, and we'll do very little, but we'll make sure that the players are fully recovered physically and go for another tough.
How do you see that one going, Hugh?
I see St Johnstone winning it. I think St Johnstone are typically what they always are under Tommy Wright. Really professional, really well disciplined, good steady players who are experienced, know what they should be about, and I just think they'll be too strong for Hamilton tomorrow.
Ruffy?
Yeah, as I said, Hamilton getting up there with that one goal I keep talking about, they would need to score more than that to win this game.
Did I get your thoughts on Kilmarnock against Ross County?
Not yet, no.
Who's going to win that one?
Again, the players under pressure. The club have taken the £1 million, but the supporters want to see wins. And last week, obviously, the defeat at Hamilton just put the pressure on more. And I think if it was Ross County, have got a good record there at Kilmarnock. If they were to win that, I think it could turn the fans again.
Yeah, that's still not giving me your opinion on who's going to win.
So I'm going to go Ross County.
Okay, it was long-winded, Hugh, but we got there in the end.
I'll make up for being brief. Ross County.
Ross County, okay, there you are. In the break, we will go through another coaching course on punditry where Hugh will teach Ruffy how to edit his long-winded approach to the answer down to maybe 3 or 4 words. Join us after the break. We'll hear from Neil Lennon, Ray McKinnon, and we'll see if Ruffy comes back with a hard-hitting attitude in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy Sports Week. Alan Ruff is alongside Hugh McDonald here on the programme. Join us if you can. Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock, we'll take you through 4 hours of all the action across all 4 divisions in Scotland and the Premier League in England. If the ball hits the back of the net, we will keep you up to date with it. Hugh McDonald here with us alongside Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith in the middle, just to keep the peace. We've got a nice little blend of hard-hitting journalistic background from Hugh McDonald and of course Gordon Smith with practically every job that's ever been invented in football, and Ruffy will be there as well as our live reporter at Tynecastle, just keeping us up to date with everything that's happening. Ruffy, we're into the Championship, another one of your old sides, Hibernian, this time again away to Queen of the South.
Yep, Hibs 2-1.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Honestly, Hugh, you just gave him a little quick chat on how to be a really hard-hitting pundit, and it seemed to work, absolutely. Well, of course, we've got to get ready for the small matter of the Scottish Cup 5th round, with Hibs going to Tynecastle to face Hearts. And of course, Neil Lennon gave us his thoughts on drawing their great rivals, but I think the priority, as the Hibs manager was quick to point out, is winning that league.
Interesting, obviously mouth-watering from the supporters' point of view. I was at the game last night, so you wanted to look at both teams to see who's going to prevail. So yeah, it's a game we'll look forward to, but it's not for another few weeks yet, so we've got to concentrate on league duty first.
Yeah, I think the priority for Neil Lennon, everybody loved the joy of winning the cup, but I think the priority for Neil Lennon is winning the league. That's where the kudos will arrive. Yeah,
and that's what everyone's about. It's surprising actually this cup games at Tynecastle. Ruffy thought it was at Celtic Park. Hibs Hearts was going to be there this year, but I think it's now got to the stage with Hibs that the promotion is completely and utterly the priority. I mean, they've been too long in that division. They really have to get back up. Neil Lennon will know this. The whole club is geared to going back up. Hearts v Hibs is a marvellous tie, and nobody should be in any doubts about it. That'll be the tie of the day. You know, it'll just be a fantastic match. But for Hibs, it's this year is, you know, it's got to be going up.
Well, it'll be interesting if Hibs can get by this one, because this is the kind of tie when they went on that wee stumble for a month. They weren't picking up wins, so it'll be interesting to see if they have got better. The wee boy Carmichael's went back to Queen of the South. I've always thought he was a really good player. So I think this is an important one for Hibs, just to get more points in the bag, because I think Dundee United have got a tough game at Dunfermline.
Yeah, I think as well, Gary Naismith has done so well at Queen of the South. The last few results have been really good, and they've got quality in that team. I think Dobie's one of the best players in that division. You know, they've got real quality in the team. The good news, if you're a Hibernian fan, is that the Dundee United challenge, you know, while it's not over, it's certainly stuttered.
Well, I was going to say to you, Hugh, because, you know, cup matches apart, if you look at the last 4 games, I mean, Hibs have won the last 4 games, Dundee United haven't got a win in 4.
Exactly, and I think that then creates a sense of, not complacency, but more ease for the Hibs players. You know, they're not quite going to Dumfries and saying it's a must win. They were going down there and saying, well, if they come back up the road with a point, it'll not be, you know, not be any cause for mourning. But Dundee United's interested at the moment, just to see if they can kickstart their way out of this little spell, because Morton look really good at the moment.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention to you, I think the biggest problem that United have, and it was something that was put to Ray McKinnon, is the fact of those 4 games that I mentioned that they haven't managed to get a win. They've conceded a heck of a lot of goals in that period. I mean, that's the big one. 13 goals conceded for Dundee United, and Ray McKinnon keen to emphasise that they have addressed that.
Well, considering we went nearly seven games without conceding a goal, it has been a bit of a. It's been a surprise, to be fair. There is circumstances in amongst that. You know, the 3 goals we lost against Queen of the South were all avoidable, and especially the goals on Saturday. They had 4 attempts, it's 4 goals, 2 from set pieces. So, you know, we need to do better in certain aspects, and you know, we've addressed that definitely. But it's been surprising. But it's just about refocusing the team to defend as a team. You know, I think that's very important that that message is on board with the players, and we've had a good chat about it this week, and they're certainly taking it on board.
Yep, I can understand where Ray McKinnon's coming from, but he also mentioned and emphasised a wonderful point there that we always pick up on, Ruffy, with managers. Say 3 of the goals we conceded in 1 game were avoidable. All goals are avoidable, Ruffy, aren't they?
Yeah, as he said there, you have to work hard on it, because you lose that amount of goals, obviously you're getting into the next game. It's an away game, you know, be hoping that they'll be a lot tighter at the bag. It'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to the boy Murray. I see Inverness are sniffing about there, and it'll be a wee test for him and the supporters, you know, if they were to let him go. You know, it's not going to make it any easier for him.
Yep. A couple of games that I think are cracking in the division, well worthy of chatting about. If you have a look at the fixtures in the Championship, you'll see 2 games at the bottom end. Yep. Wraith Rovers against Dumbarton will be a chance for Gary Locke's side to pick themselves up after the midweek defeat to Hearts. But St Mirren Falkirk and Ayr United Morton.
Yep. Great games, and now there's been a glimmer of hope for St Mirren, maybe, you know, bridging that gap that they've got between them and United and Dumbarton.
I think they'll get out of it, Hugh. I don't know about you.
I don't.
No?
No.
Go on.
I think so. I mean, I think I'm less sure about it than I was, but and we'll wait to. I mean, that was a great result for them last week, and that kind of changed my views slightly. But I'd watched them twice this season already, and I thought, well, I didn't see anything there that would get them out of it.
The reason why I'm saying that is because we were talking to John Sutton in midweek, Ruffy. Dumbarton and Ayr coming up in February in between a couple of cup matches for them, and then Ayr and Dumbarton at New St Mirren Park in April. So these next 2 games against the bottom end are crucial to them to take something from them.
Yeah, and that's what the manager will be saying to the players. I think the players will realise that these games are so important, you know, but they really need to go on some kind of run. You know, that's the important thing. But for me, I know it's very, very early, manager of the year, but Jim Duffy's well up there where he is just now. You know, and if they were to maintain that top 4 position, I think he'll be in it at the end. Yeah,
and as far as St Mirren are concerned, Steven McGarry back at the club on an 18-month deal. Good bit of business. Jack's actually started to just tweak it and, you know, duck and dive with the Kyle McAllister transfer. I think all but done and dusted.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of money there back from that. Yeah, and he's I think McGinn move's a great move. I think that's a really solid move, and Rory Loy might bring them something as well. Who knows? But I still think they're the team that's in the hole.
Okay, from the Championship, here are the fixtures in League One. Albion Rovers, Alloa, East Fife, Stranraer, Livingston against Brecon City, Peterhead, Queen's Park, Stenhousemuir against Airdrie. We will keep you up to date with the League One scores all throughout Saturday afternoon. League Two, what's on offer? Annan Athletic against Stirling Albion, Clyde against Arbroath, and Elgin City, Edinburgh City, Forfar against Cowdenbeath, and Montrose against Berwick Rangers. Just looking, I don't think anybody's going to stop Forfar in that division issue. They're running away with it.
Yeah, but what's happening behind is very, very interesting, because a lot of the clubs have to get into that playoff spot. A lot of the clubs have to, push their way into to promotion contention. And of course, at the bottom of that league as well, a couple of weeks ago, Stirling Albion were sitting at the bottom. If you're bottom of that league, with the pyramid system, is really difficult, but Albion have pulled themselves away a wee bit, but probably more interest in the bottom of the league than there will be at the top.
Yep, okay, that's the all four divisions in Scotland. Join us if you can tomorrow, Saturday, 2 o'clock on STV as well. And of course, there are a couple of things that I want to get your thoughts on. Don't forget, coming up in the next part of the programme, we're going to be speaking to Steven McGarry out in Perth, Australia. I caught up with him earlier today to get his thoughts on what one of the former St Mirren players is up to and what his thoughts are on things closer to home as well. That's coming up, as well as a wee bit of tennis to keep Ruffy and Hugh McDonald interested, to say the least. First one, England. The English club spending in the global transfer market is passed by $1 billion. This is for transfers, money spent, around the globe. Ruffy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It just shows you how far behind we are, and you can see why people, as Hugh said, like Craig Gordon, would want to go back down there, and test yourself against the best players in the world.
And the other thing I was going to say to you, just one little sad note, Hugh, they're trying to raise a bit of money for Nobby Stiles. He's got dementia, he's in a care home. What a fantastic player Nobby Stiles was. One of those tough tackling defenders, World Cup winner, European Cup winner, and he sold his shirts, and I think Manchester United bought it for something like £200,000. But it just shows you, it's like the Tommy Gemmell line. He sold his medals. You can't eat your medals, and I think Nobby Stiles, a lot of people putting their weight behind trying to raise some money for him just to take care of him in his latter years.
Yeah, it's hugely sad the way that we're talking now about the that $1 billion question, and Nobby Stiles would have been grateful for a bit of that. The amount of money now it's in football is extraordinary in English football. The amount of money it's gone on now to the salaries are now $70,000 a week.
Yep, absolutely. What would Nobby Stiles be worth in today's market? We're going to hear from Steven McGarry. We'll talk tennis after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week. Alan Ruff and Hugh McDonald are with me here in the studio. We'll get their thoughts on who they think is going to win the FA Cup down south. The fixtures this weekend we'll be keeping a close eye on. We'll also get Ruffy and Hugh's thoughts on who's going to win the Australian Open. Since Andy Murray's not there, it's two elder statesmen in the final, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, and of course over 30s in the women's final as well, with Venus and Serena Williams. We promised you an additional boot-room guest, I'm delighted to say, earlier today, once I got the time difference sorted out between the United Kingdom and Australia. I caught up with former St Mirren player Steven McGarry to get his thoughts on what he's up to now and his old side in Paisley.
Peter, it's finally nice to catch up with you after you getting the time difference wrong. So yeah, it's good to hear from you. And over at Perth, Australia, I've been over here since 2010, and obviously I played with the Perth Glory for around about 4.5-5 years, and retired 2 years ago. So I've been involved in a lot of coaching over here. I coached with the Perth Glory youth side for a year. And now I've started up my own academy, which is I started that up on October there, and it's going really well. So yeah, some exciting times, and I'm glad to just be involved in football.
Yeah, well, you mentioned there you've been over there for a good 6 years now. I've been keeping my eye on what you've been up to. What's the standard of football like over in Australia?
That's probably the biggest question, or the most often question I get asked. It's hard to compare, especially here in Perth, Peter. It's because of the heat. Some of the games you're playing 35, 36 degrees, and technically the standard's really good. Obviously, the tempo will be a bit slower. We've had some really good players coming across here, like Fowler and Gallas came over to Perth as well. So the standard is good, and luckily enough, a year ago or 2 years ago, we've had the A-League managed to secure Del Piero, so he played over in Sydney for a couple of years. So the standard is good. Technically, it's good, but it's a little bit slower.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that you've started up your own football academy. How is that going?
Yeah, it's going well. The academy is designed for 13 to 18-year-olds. So Perth Glory, they're the only, WA is a massive place. There's only one professional club in WA, and there's only so many kids that each age group can get picked. So what I found is over the last couple of years, there's loads of kids who, for some reason or not, they don't get into the Glory system, but they're still good players for one reason. They might not decide to go down that pathway, or it's only someone's opinion whether they get picked up in the Glory or not. So there's loads of aspiring young footballers out there. So I've tried to get some groups across those age groups and give them different opportunities. So hopefully later on in the year we're going to go over east and play some games against some of the A-League clubs, and hopefully that opens up different pathways for them.
Now, you mentioned sport, you mentioned Australia, rugby league, rugby union and rugby league automatically come to the fore because it's the sport that's most passionately played over there, as well as cricket. Is there an enthusiasm in Australia to try and improve their national game as well? Because I can actually remember a time when there was an Australian team that qualified for the World Cup.
Yeah, well, the last couple of years, when I first came, when I played with the Glory, we went out and done loads of coaching clinics at schools, and it was all AFL. But the last couple of years has been a massive swing, and the FFA, the Football Federation Australia, they've come out with numbers now and actually said football is the most played team sport in Australia at grassroots level. So you'll see that in 10 years' time there'll be a massive difference in football or soccer, they call it. It's going to be up there challenging with the likes of cricket and rugby. Whether it challenges the likes of AFL, which is the big number one sport over here, will be pretty tough, Maybe and beyond that. But the next 10 years, it's a massive sport and it's growing all the time.
Yeah, and with that in mind, is your long-term future in Australia with your family?
Yeah, definitely. We love it. Me and the missus came over here, like I said, 7 years ago. And it was just to come and try something different. Played in Scotland for 13, 14 years, and we just thought, let's go and give it a bash. We want to start a young family, and there's no better place than to start a family. We're 5 minutes from the beach. The kids are out the back garden playing every day. They love it. So yeah, that's the plan. We're very happy here, and it's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place. And I'm content. I'm enjoying my coaching with the academy, but I'm also playing. I'm still playing, or still trying to play. So the boots are not officially hung up yet. I'm still playing in the MPL, which is the second tier in Australia for a team called ECU Joondalup. And they've got a massive Scottish contingent as well. They've got some, you'll know some of the names. Kevin Moon, who played for St Johnstone.
Yep.
He's over here. We've got Gordon Smith, who played with Hearts, who was on fire last year. He won the Golden Boot, or joint Golden Boot scorer. A couple of guys who played Highland League, Darryl Nichol and Danny Milne. Our assistant coach, David Tuff, he's a Edinburgh lad, and their manager, Dale McCulloch. His dad, Gordon McCulloch, I think he played a couple of years, I think with Hearts and Wraith Rovers as well. So a big Scottish contingent, and it's good to be around. And last year was a brilliant year. I think it was the highest place the club had been in 17 years. So it's good. It's exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed actually. You say, that you like Australia. Your family are comparing Australia to Paisley. I mean, is there any real comparison there? You get a chance to get a taxi at 2 in the morning, get a kebab. You've had a right good time in the lash, and you go to Paisley at nightclubs. I mean, is there any comparison there between that and Australia? I mean, apart from the heat.
I do miss Club 30, to be honest with you. That's so okay, listen. As much as I love home and I love being back there, and when you go back, it's a whirlwind. You know what? You want to go and see everyone, and I still keep in touch with loads of the lads as well. You mentioned Big Sutty. I seen Big Sutty was on the programme. No doubt he bored you to death. Keith Lasley as well. Still keep in touch with Keith, and I still see his little legs are still carrying him across the field. So I do miss the place. I miss family and friends. I miss the football, just the day to day. Like when you open a newspaper here, you've got to go back 4 or 5 pages to see anything on football. So that was the morning ritual. You had 4 or 5 different papers reading all the different stories, going on, listening to the radio and seeing what was going on. And it's football. Football was life, but here it's not. And I miss it, but I enjoy it because it's so relaxed as well.
Yeah, I presume that you'll still keep your eyes in Mirren and hope that they can escape relegation.
Yes, of course. I think it's no surprise that I've always shown that I'm a big buddy, and I'm keeping an eye on it, a very close eye on it. Hopefully, Jack can get the boys out. It's been a crazy January period. I'm trying to keep up to date with everything. I think 8 players in, 8 players out. So. And that's a phenomenal job because I can't remember the last time a club in Scottish football had that much activity in a January transfer window. So he's done a phenomenal job just to get those players in and out. So I don't know how much sleep he's had in the last week, but probably not very much. So he's done a good job, and it's good to see Gordon Scott and Tony Fitz backing him, and because by all accounts he's a very good coach. I know him. He's a good guy. He's a top person. So hopefully he can make those changes count. And all that really matters now is him getting points on the board and getting the buddies back up the table.
Yeah, great to catch up with Steven McGarry there, and good to see he's doing well over there in Australia.
Yeah, great to see somebody's taking the chance, going for a new life. But what's not to like about Australia? A great country, and especially if you're starting out bringing up a family. Where better to do it, as Stephen says.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, just before we go, got to get your thoughts, guys, on the elder statesmen. The people who make the Australian Open are all over 30, Hugh. Yeah, that's good news. Nadal and Federer.
And Nadal and Federer, incredible match amongst the women as well. The Australian Open has become one of the great storyline tournaments for years now. That men's final is going to be extraordinary, like a throwback to before. I don't know how to call it. Federer for me.
Federer for me, yep. Yeah. I'm really impressed with him. I think Andy Murray will be taking a wee look to see. I thought these 2 guys were out the road, yep. But now they're back.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Ruffy. Who was your tip for the FA Cup, you two?
Well, Manchester United or Tottenham for me.
Tottenham for me.
Tottenham, okay, not too far away from each other there. Join us tomorrow on the programme if you can, Saturday afternoon, 4 hours. If you can get to a football match, by all means get out there, take your family with you, enjoy Scottish football. If you cannot, stick with us, 4 hours, STV. We'll be there keeping you up to date with all the goals that hit the back of the net. Ruffy will be with us alongside Hugh to keep on right, and Gordon Smith as well, and it all starts at 2. From everyone here, good night.